back. Elementary 05, problem 7. All right. So you're looking at A. Problem A says negative 8 minus absolute value 8 minus absolute value negative 8. Okay. Well, absolute values behave like grouping pattern. Grouping in the sense of parenthesis. So we have to resolve this big absolute value first. So I will leave everybody else as they are and then simply worry about this object. Okay. So what is that object? Okay. What happens inside is there is an 8 minus another absolute value of negative 8. So let me write the 8 first and then the minus next. And now let's figure out absolute value of negative 8. Absolute value of negative 8 is simply positive 8. So all of this is absolute value 8 minus 8. You know that, right? So that is negative 8 minus absolute value of 0. So that fetches me nothing. Negative 8 minus 0, which is negative 8. Okay. B part. You have absolute value negative 8 and negative 8, beg your pardon, 3 minus 8 power 2 absolute value. So what's the story? Well, absolute value is a grouping method approach, is a grouping feature. So you have to simplify inside first. Inside there is a multiplication, there is a subtraction, and there is an exponent. Exponent takes precedence. So the rest I will write as they are. Negative 8, 3 minus exponent 8 power 2 is 64. So notice the power 2 applies only to 8, not to the negative. So it's only 8 power 2. All right. So that gets me here absolute value. There's a multiplication there and a subtraction there. Well, multiplication takes precedence. Negative 8 times 3 is negative 24 minus 64. All of this within absolute value. So this gets us absolute value. Negative 24 and negative 64. So that's a bigger negative, right? 88. Absolute value of negative 88 is positive 88. Next. Problem 8, A part. Okay. It says 6 power 2 minus 45 divided by 3 power 2 times 4 minus 7. Okay, now this is a long expression, so we have to be thoughtful here. 6 power 2, so that's an exponent, that's a subtraction, division, exponent, multiplication, subtraction. So quite a few operations. Notice exponents are to be taken care of first. 6 power 2 is 36 minus 45 divided by 3 power 2 is a 9 times 4 minus 7. Okay, so we took care of the exponents. Now, subtraction, division, multiplication, subtraction. Well, division and multiplication, they are higher priority than subtraction. Multiplication and division have the same priority. So you have to go from left to right here. Okay. So I will leave the other things as they are. 36 minus and a negative 7. So all we need to do is understand this. So start from left to right. 45 divided by 9 is 5, and then times 4. Okay, I hope it's clear. Multiplication and division have the same priority, so you have to go from left on to right. So this gets me 36 minus, that's a 20 minus 7. Now there are two subtractions. You go from left to right. 36 minus 20 is 16 minus 7. 16 minus 7 is a 9. B part. You have a fraction 7 times 3 minus 3 power 2 over, notice that's a bracket, okay, bracket 2 power 2 minus negative 4 bracket power 2. All right. So, well, this long fraction, this long division, basically, that's a grouping mechanism. That is, you look upstairs, that's a problem, and that's a problem. So there are two expressions. You need to resolve each expression separately. In the numerator, there's a multiplication, subtraction, and exponent. Exponent takes precedence. So I will write 7 times 3 minus 3 power 2 is a 9. Notice power 2 applies only to 3 because it's closest to it. It does not apply to negative. Denominator, you have a bracket, okay, bracket power 2. Well, bracket or parentheses, they take precedence. So you go inside, there is an exponent and a subtraction. Well, exponent takes precedence. 2 power 2 is a 4 minus negative 4. All right. Okay. Continuing, in the numerator, multiplication and a subtraction. Multiplication takes precedence. 7 times 3 is 21 minus 9. Denominator, you have a bracket, power 2. What goes inside the bracket? Notice 4 minus minus 4. So it's 4 plus 4. Okay, so that is finally fraction. Numerator, 21 minus 9 is a 12 over 4 plus 4 is an 8 power 2. So that is fraction 12 over 64. Okay, you can reduce, mind you. Look at 12. It is 4 times 3. Look at 64. It is 4 times 16. So 4 is a common factor. So they cancel. You're left with 3 over 16. Okay. Next problem. This is the 9th question. A part. 11 minus 3 bracket negative 3 parentheses 4 minus 9 minus 5 6 minus 2 parentheses bracket. So if you notice, there is bracket, within bracket there are parentheses. Order of operation says forget everything else. Take care of things inside the parentheses. So that's the outer bracket. Inside this expression has parentheses, so forget everything else and worry about the parentheses. Okay, that's how we figure. So the innermost parentheses, let's go through them. one at a time. 4 minus 9, that's a negative 5. 6 minus 2, that's a 4. Okay, so now this is your question. Notice brackets still exist. It has not been resolved. So forget everything else for the time being and let's worry about the brackets. There's a multiplication, subtraction, multiplication. Multiplication takes precedence. Negative 3 minus 5. Negative times negative is a positive. 15 minus 5 times 4. 20. Okay. Now this is your problem. So here this expression, forget everything else. Worry about the brackets first. 15 minus 20, that's a bigger magnitude. So it's going to be negative. Difference is a 5. Okay, so at this point, multiplication takes precedence over subtraction. So minus 3 times negative 5, so that's a negative 15. So 11 plus 15, that is a 26. Okay, B part, fraction 2 times negative 3 minus 3 times negative 5 over 3 minus 8. That is equal to, so this is a bar here, this fractional part tells you that you need to simplify upstairs and downstairs separately. They are grouping mechanisms, right? So numerator has a multiplication, subtraction, multiplication. Multiplication takes precedence. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6 minus 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Denominator 3 minus 8 is a negative 5, which gives me a fraction. Numerator now is negative 6 plus 15. You see, negative of negative. Denominator is negative 5. So that gets me fraction negative 6 plus 15. So that's like saying 15 minus 6. That's a 9 over negative 5. Positive over negative is an overall negative 9 over 5. So you would write it with negative 9 over 5. All right, let's continue next problem in our next video. Until then.